Joe, Mike, and Trevor from Milemethod.com back at it again. Build assets online. We're talking about credit card rewards, one of the most exciting topics there is today because, you know, there's so much you could do with them. There's travel points, there's cash back. Well, what else is there?
I mean, I don't know. We'll get into that all today, but I guess without further ado, thank you, Trevor, for coming onto the podcast. How you doing?
Good to be here. I checked the last time we talked was June 2020. So
yeah, I checked that too.
That was about 2 years ago. I was in Mexico at that time.
Yeah, and that was a big reason why I wanted to have you on again, because the landscape of travel has obviously changed significantly since then. At that point, we were kind of in the peak COVID era, and now we're getting into a bit of a different era. And really, one of the things that sparked me asking you to come on was I was trying to book flights recently to Croatia or somewhere, and just the amount that it was costing to book a flight, not that I was paying for it, but I was just seeing how ridiculous the airline fees are these days. And it made me realize, like, the average person, in order to travel in any, even economy or whatever, it's so expensive now. And so, like, especially for our audience doing online business, if you're not taking advantage of the things that you talk about, not even like your service and what you offer, if you're not learning about credit cards and how to maximize rewards and stuff like that, you're literally going to waste tens of thousands of dollars trying to travel.
Mike, do you remember what we ended up booking? Because I think I did give you a few options. What was the redemption?
To Croatia?
Yeah.
So it's definitely business class there and back. That's all I remember. I forget which airline it is. I think it's one of them, just United, Polaris, whatever. But yeah, we did book all business class there and back.
I think it was $200 some in taxes. I forget what.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not that it's we'll save this kind of for when we get in, but it's not like it's the easiest thing in the world. But we've been working together for a couple of years, and it's like I've learned so much about how this world works, and I always love doing these podcasts because, again, I think it's one of the most valuable things that someone could take advantage of if they're doing online business or if they're listening to this doing whatever. So.
Yeah, and I guess one thing before we get into it is that this doesn't need to be your sole focus. This can be in addition to your online businesses, because what the best way to think of credit card sign-up bonuses is low-hanging fruit. They're right there. You click some buttons, 10 minutes, you get approved, you earn a bonus, and then you redeem that bonus for, that Croatia example, a one-way business class that might cost over $5,000. So your ROI on 10 minutes of clicking buttons is ridiculous.
Exactly. It is all about the ROI. So why don't you give us a little bit of background again, because it was 2 years since you've been on. So why don't you tell people who you are, what you've done, and what you've been up to?
Yeah, so I live on Google Calendar. So I actually went back and looked, between June 2020 and now, I've been in 18 different countries. I actually made some notes here. So lived in Brazil for 6 months, Colombia for 6 months, the country of Georgia, Ukraine, visited 18 countries. And I'm just doing this to put some perspective on this conversation about how lucrative all this is. So 2020, I had 10 flights. I averaged $15.40 per flight. 2021, I flew 31 flights and I averaged $6.69 per flight. And so far in 2022, I've flown 14 flights and averaged $69.36 per flight, including 2 business class flights across the Atlantic. So that's giving context to this conversation that if you're paying, even a US domestic round trip, $500 minimum, you could be paying $11. So you just, this is lucrative. So I'm from Nebraska, been traveling since I was 17. Really backpacker style for most of that time until I discovered miles and points, went down the rabbit hole, and have been helping people with a one-on-one service earn 1 million miles within 18 months. And I've been doing this since 2014.
Yeah. And how many countries have you been to at this point?
134, 135. I'm sorry, that's with miles and points. Total, I've been to 158 countries.
Wow. Wow. And how many credit cards would you say you've had at that during this time span?
So since 2011, I personally have been approved for about 150 some credit cards.
Mhm.
And then of course, I do this for clients. My parents have been doing this with me since 2013. So between my parents and I, we have basically unlimited free travel. Even at this moment in time, after traveling pretty much nonstop for a decade, we have, 6 million miles right now that I could use. So
Crazy.
yeah.
Were you gonna say something, Joe?
No, I'm not that much in this world as you are. So I'm kind of trying to follow what he's talking about. I don't know
Yeah,
I don't know how much a mile is worth.
Yeah, and
why
you know
don't
what?
we talk about that?
Yeah, this is an epiphany I've had lately. So I've been doing this as a business one-on-one service since 2014, and I'm a numbers guy. So I'll spit out these numbers, and Joe, you kind of glazed over, like, okay, yeah, all these flights, $6 per flight. If you kind of just spend some time looking at the numbers, it's impressive. I mean, I dare anyone to try to book a $10,000 business class flight for a couple $100. The only way to do that is via miles and points. But one thing I've noticed is that, people care about benefits. They don't care about features. All these different numbers are not necessarily impressive unless you put it in perspective that, yes, you can do this. Any American with decent credit scores can do this.
Mhm.
Are there
So I guess,
are there any other countries that you know of that allow this, or for someone that's not a U.S. citizen, have you worked with anyone in that
I do have
capacity?
a few clients that have U.S. residency
Mhm.
and social security numbers. I have a client from the Bahamas. I worked with a guy from Hong Kong. I have a few non-native born Americans, but to earn these credit card sign-up bonuses, you do need a U.S. social security number and decent credit scores and some credit history. So if you're a foreigner without those three things, this is not for you.
Mhm. And I mean, one of the things that I think has benefited us, doing online business, is the fact that obviously, we run things through credit cards, millions and millions of dollars through in terms of ad spend and just paying for expenses. Obviously, you're familiar with drop shipping. You get a sale, you pay for it with the supplier, and then it ships. So we're running millions and millions of dollars through credit cards every year. And kind of, a lot of people that listen to us and a lot of people that follow us are maybe on the younger side and they don't have as much credit, but maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Doing something like online business would help to build your credit score or your credit history, because you're going to need to have a credit card. You start with one, and then over time, you're paying that off, and your, credit history grows. Correct?
Yeah, history of on-time payments is a great way to build up credit history. So even, let's say you have no credit cards, no credit history, you're going to have to start small. You're not going to be eligible for these huge sign-up bonuses that you can redeem for tens of thousands of dollars. You might have to go to a local even credit union and say, hey, I don't have a credit history, but I want to build it. What do I do? So on-time payments will build up your credit history. Never missing payments, not maxing out your credit cards, for example. There's these types of things that will improve your credit scores.
Mm-hmm. And when I first found out about you and when I was kind of researching this, I was like, oh, like, is this a scam? Because like, how am I going to get all these credit cards and it's not going to affect my credit score? And I'm just going to be drowning in all these cards and stuff like that. So I'm sure it's a big concern people come to you with, right?
Yeah, those are the two most common questions. So one, will this hurt my credit score? We can address that. And then another common concern I'm hearing is, how much time do you need to do this? Like, is this going to be a full-time job? Do I have to juggle all these different cards? So I guess we can talk about it, credit history. I'll try to be brief because it's not that exciting of a topic. But as far as credit scores are concerned, The reason that applying for multiple credit cards does not hurt your credit score is that there's different positive factors for your credit score. So having diverse accounts, having multiple credit cards is a positive factor because it basically shows that one bank believes you're creditworthy. So another one thinks, okay, if that bank will give you a card, then he's probably okay, I'll give him a card too. Also, as you're approved for multiple credit cards, especially personal credit cards, your total overall available credit goes up and up and up because each credit card has a credit line. So let's say one credit card has a $10,000 credit line, but then you apply for another and it has a 5,000 and then another has a 20,000. So your total available credit goes up and up and up. But as long as you're paying your debt to zero every month, your debt to credit ratio improves. So having more cards with more total available credit, these are all positive factors.
Let me ask you a question because we ran into an issue. Probably was over a year ago at this point. We had made a new business, like a new entity, and we wanted to get a credit card for it. And we wanted to get like a Capital One Spark card. And no matter what, I could not get approved by the automated system, but somehow Mike got approved. And I was wondering if it's because our credit cards right now, even though it's under our business, has my name on it. So is it like maybe we had a high balance at the time because we didn't pay it yet?
That could have been it. If you have, so really the easiest way is what was your credit score at the time that you applied? So if your credit score was good, that's one factor, but it's not the only factor. If you were utilizing, above, let's say 20% of your total available credit, that's not good. You should always pay your balances to zero before you apply for new cards. Make sure that
how long do you have to wait, would you say?
You want to pay before the statement closes. So here's kind of a technical thing people should think about. Each credit card has a statement closing date and a payment due date. So whatever balance you have when the statement closes is the amount that is reported to your credit reports. So you want to make sure that you pay your credit cards to zero before the statement closing date. So you may have had a very high balance and that affected your eligibility. And then another thing is that's a business credit card. So that's a little bit different than your personal credit history that's attached to your social security number. There's different factors involved. And this is why.
So they definitely make you put your social security number and all that. So it's got to be linked to you in some way.
Yes, but you also entered your LLC EIN number with your business.
Yeah.
So your business credit history is a factor. Did you just open up that LLC? Does it have some history on it? These are all different things to take into account.
Right. I see.
And also Capital One is very difficult. This is why I continue to say it's not the best card to be applying for. They are very difficult with approvals compared to other banks.
Yeah, and Capital One's reward system is also not that great. But
is it kind of like, so because we're going to be applying for a Chase card soon, because they have they're introducing a new cash back card for high ticket purchases, which is kind of what we specialize in. So does your relationship with the bank matter at all with credit card approval?
So I'll back up a little bit. The reason I do a one-on-one service is exactly for this reason. There's a lot of individual factors that need to be taken into account. So without knowing your application history, your cancellation history, it's very difficult to advise. You may or may not be eligible for that Chase card simply based on how many approvals you've had in the past 2 years. So I would need to know that, number one, to tell you if you have a chance at being approved for that Chase card. Because each bank and even each individual card has its own eligibility rules. And it's like putting together a big puzzle. You just have to know these rules and then structure the applications around these rules. So we should talk after to see if you're actually eligible for that card.
Cool. And so, I mean, before we dive into the fun stuff and talk about, different reward programs and how you can, get all these cool redemptions, like doing this for a couple of years has really shed new light on my perspective as far as like the banking system and like the credit system. To me now, it all just seems like kind of bullshit. because it's none of it is. I don't know. Do you want to talk about that?
That's an open-ended question. I mean, how far up the ladder do you want to go? Are we talking Fed monetary system? Are we talking Ponzi scheme, airline miles?
I guess why does this work, right? Because how do they let us? I don't want to say get away with this, but how is it something that's possible for us to do?
So the very simple answer is this is possible because the great majority of people have no clue what they're doing and they lose. So you are reaping the benefits because others are paying into the system. That's it. That's the Ponzi. So
Exactly.
if you know what you're doing, just like most things in life, you can excel. You can be the rise to the top, whereas others stay stagnant at the bottom. It's the same with miles and points. You just have to know what you're doing to really take advantage and benefit.
Yeah, for sure. And so I guess on that note, we're in 2022 now. You've been traveling for, I don't know how old you are now, but I'm sure over a decade. How have you seen things evolve in the world of just travel and in the world of, points and bonuses and stuff?
So miles and points, so it's all inflationary. Let's start there. That doesn't have to be a negative thing. The mile redemptions 5 years ago were lower than they are now. Just like the purchasing power is less now that of the US dollar is less now than it was 5 years ago. That's another key theme throughout all monetary assets, inflation. But the reason that that's not, it's really a non-issue is that the bonuses keep increasing as well. So even though the redemptions go up, so do the bonuses. It all evens out. It's free money. You should grab it. Obviously, COVID, as far as the environment of travel, was a weird situation. But what we're seeing now after 2 years of people sitting in their homes is people want to travel again. And prices are going up because demand is increasing. So a lot of people who haven't looked at hotel and flight prices in a couple of years, I think, like you said, are being shocked at how expensive things are. And these bonuses are an easy way to reduce those expenses by 95+%.
Yeah, exactly. Because at this point, it's like you're going to pay $500 to go sit in the back of a Spirit airline flight to go, I don't know, go to friggin' Texas or something. When, yeah, you could be paying virtually nothing if you are just doing, if you have a little bit of knowledge and, you're kind of taking advantage of what the system is giving you. So, yeah, I mean, on that note, you've been helping me book my honeymoon. And so we booked the flight there to get to the Maldives, which, what was the value of that?
Yeah. I made some notes here. So your flight was for two people, was the business class from Newark to the Maldives. The retail costs, and this is what I'm saying when Joe's eyes glaze over, but pay attention to these numbers. The retail cost of two business class passengers from Newark to the Maldives would have cost $34,000. The exact number was $34,081. That's two people, one-way business class. And Mike paid, using my service, using miles, Mike paid $96 total plus 200,000 miles. So for Joe, what is 200,000 miles? Who cares? What is that? 200,000 miles is about 1.25 sign-up bonuses. So you could apply for one bonus and then use 25% of another bonus, and you just saved $34,000. I mean, saving, this is where it gets me in trouble because Mike would never have paid $34,000. We wouldn't, right? Like that's ridiculous. But the actual retail cost was $34,000. So this is a way to upgrade your travels and stay in hotels that you wouldn't normally stay in, fly business class, first class that you would never ever pay for, but now you can.
You ever end up doing this? You ever end up in a hotel with someone that's like ridiculously wealthy, like you see Bezos walking down the hallway?
I think those people are staying. They're buying out the whole floor, or they have their own building. I do sometimes go, like, just for example, I was in London a month and a half ago. I stayed at $1,000 night hotel in a fancy neighborhood for $0. So that's one hotel night, $1,000 retail. And yeah, you can go to the bar, you can rub shoulders with people who actually pay for these types of places. I don't have any Bezos type stories, but you do see another world of how people live when money just doesn't matter. You know, people who spend $2,000 a night and it just doesn't matter.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about the Maldives, and we were, talking about like people take the little planes and stuff. And I was like, how safe are these? And you were saying, this is where the type of thing, some of the richest people in the world go to these places. So, I mean, yeah. So like, does it feel weird to be doing these things just for no money? Like, I don't know. Do people?
No, it is interesting because I've come from both sides of the spectrum. I did not start this way. I was not staying in $1,000 night hotels for free. I was sleeping in a tent by the highway on a bicycle trip, spending $25 a day. So I can appreciate from backpacker to uber luxurious private island Maldives resorts. And it doesn't feel weird only because, I feel comfortable in both sides of those spectrums. And I appreciate both of them. So it is an interesting thing to live, just to kind of mingle with the rich people. It is interesting.
Yeah. I did a little bit of, or sorry, you go, Joe.
No, so I was going to ask, so you work with Trevor a lot personally, but I guess I wanted to ask if someone is following our methods that we teach in terms of high ticket drop shipping, can this be utilized, or it's like only a personal thing? Like, how would this work? Would it just be like, okay, I'm going to pay for the ads using my personal credit card and then pay the balance that I used for the ads from my business account? Like, or is there any like business card involvement in the Milemethod?
It's really the same approach, whether you're doing it as an individual or as a business. And ideally you do both. So there are business cards, just like you mentioned, the Capital One Spark business card, where it should be attached to an EIN LLC number, but it doesn't have to be. So there are other tricks too. But even if you want to do this exclusively to earn miles and points through your high business spend, that's fine. But that's not the tactic. That is not the most efficient way to earn these, to earn free travel, luxury, business class, first class. It's all about the sign-up bonuses. So anything you do on top of earning sign-up bonuses, with your high monthly spend, drop shipping, that's just icing on the cake. But you should be focusing on the sign-up bonuses.
Got it.
Well, yeah, and I think maybe that's where we have a little bit of disagreement, I guess. I mean, because, yeah, you're right. Obviously, with a couple months of sign-up bonuses, you can get, I mean, your service advertises, a million points or a million miles in whatever, 18 months. But I think, yeah, something like when you do it in the context of high ticket drop shipping and online business, in my opinion, it just makes everything smoother. Because I mean, if you think about like just even there's Amex cards where you get maybe 4x on ad spend, or even the Chase Inc. gets you 3x on ad spend. If you're spending enough, I mean, that's, what is it, 450,000 free Chase Ultimate Rewards points every year just for ad spend. And then on top of that, what were you going to say?
So to get that 450,000, how much did you spend?
150,000.
Okay. So you could spend, just think of one bonus right now. You could spend $6,000 and get 150,000. So that's a third of what you would get spending 150,000. But if you spend 6,000 towards a sign-up bonus, you just earned a third of the points that you earned the entire year through your entire business expenses. And I do have a real life example that puts this in perspective, I think, which will start the battle of cashback versus miles and points. So I told you I was in London recently. I was finishing up a big 3-month Europe trip. I flew business class nonstop from London to Denver. So I'm in Denver now at my parents' house. So Joe, I'm going to put out some numbers. Stick with me. This London to Denver nonstop business class was 69,000 miles plus $600 in taxes. Okay, so to earn 69,000, that's half a credit card sign-up bonus. Half. That's one single sign-up bonus, half of it. And you would have to spend, like I said, let's say 6,000 to earn a round trip, Denver to London round trip business class. You have to spend $6,000 to earn the miles. Are you still with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so the retail value of that one-way Denver to London was $11,000. Would I pay that? No, but I did fly it because that was the retail cost. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this full circle. So if you're spending on a 2% cashback credit card to earn $11,000, you would have to spend over $500,000, correct? So
Right,
2% of $500,000 is approximately $11,000, right? So to get the same flight, you have to spend $500,000, or you spend 6,000. Does that help where I'm coming from?
I mean, I think we've kind of got it now. I feel like, so, maximizing miles and points via sign-up bonuses obviously has what I would call the best near-term benefits in terms of if you want travel points. But I guess the only reason why we do other stuff is because it doesn't scale, I guess.
Yeah. So that and this is another thing, especially for your audience who has, they're spending a lot of money on e-commerce, internet businesses. So earn the bonus every 90 days, earn the multiple bonuses, and then go back to what you're doing anyway.
Exactly.
That's really the trick. So grab the bonuses, take a tiny fraction of your monthly spend to earn these sign-up bonuses by spending the required amount on each card.
Right.
And then go back to what you're doing anyway, which is just putting your business expenses on a single credit card, whether it's cashback or any card. But make sure you get these bonuses with your spend. That's all.
Right.
Yeah,
Makes
exactly.
sense.
Because I feel like you can only have so many credit cards in a given year. You can only apply for so many. And when, like when you do things the way that we do them, say for a typical credit card sign-up bonus, you have to spend $5,000 in 3 months. So I think for a lot of people doing this type of thing personally, that's kind of a big maybe drawback, because they're like, all right, how am I going to spend $5,000? And there's ways to get around that. But the way that we do things, it's kind of just naturally very easy to accomplish these sign-up bonuses, right? Like we could have one order where it's going to cost us $5,000. So, hypothetically, you could tell the supplier, hey, put the order on this card. Boom, sign-up bonus done.
Exactly.
Now everything else, is just circulating back to the cash back cards, or, like the Chase Inc., just, building up those cherry on top points, or, cash back totals.
Just make sure you pay it with your business bank account.
Right. And that's, a separate accounting PSA, but
right.
Yeah. So I guess we'll get some questions. Why don't we take a quick intermission and look at some of these chats here? We got Matt says, let's go. Ahmed or Abed. Hello. Roderick, what's up? Justin, what's up? All I need now is the time freedom to travel that much. And so actually I like this point because I think, one of my qualms, I'd say, about having just like a lot of miles is that they're only good when you're going to travel. And so, you've built your life around traveling and stuff like that, but other people, maybe they have kids or they're just not into traveling that much. So what would you say to those types of people? Like, how would you balance that out?
Yeah, so this is a valid concern. I have one client. She got in touch. She needed some help with flight redemptions, and she had very limited travel dates because she's working around basically the major holidays or the major school vacation times, and that's when everybody's trying to travel. So that is a valid concern, because as there's more demand for a certain date, prices go up. But mile redemptions, especially within the U.S., also tend to go up. So it's the same story we discussed before. You'll never regret having a ton of miles and points, because even if you have to redeem more, it's either that or pay more money. So that is one issue. Another way around this is, I mean, I can't create more free time for you. That's why you create an online business. This is why you do the things that you guys discuss. But one way around that is, let's say you do have very strict travel dates. And if you are focusing on only one type of airline mile, you check that one airline, and if there's no availability, you're screwed. You're not going to be able to redeem your miles, at least within the US. You know, there are ways to book with partner airlines internationally. So the way around that is to make sure you have significant balances with multiple airlines. So that way, on any specific date you need to travel, if you search American Airlines and there's no availability, then you can check Delta, you can check United, you can check Southwest, JetBlue, all of these different other options. And between all the different mile programs, you're gonna find a way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, you know, you talked about like you took a $11,000 flight or whatever, business class, and it's not like, you know, you wouldn't go out and spend that money, but after doing this, you know, and flying business class and taking, you know, like I've spent a couple $1,000s on a economy flight to go to, you know, Thailand or whatever. And it's like, it's brutal. It's brutal to do these
it's a long
flights.
flight.
And it's like, once you do this, once you fly business class somewhere or you stay in like a really nice hotel, I remember you helped us get it was at Viceroy in Bali.
Yep.
It's like one of the nicest hotels. I think it was voted like one of the nicest hotels in the world. And it's like, once you do these things, you'll never want to go back. So it kind of creates this conundrum, because like, I don't want to spend the money to stay at one. I don't want to spend $1,000 a night to stay at this hotel, but now I want to stay at this hotel. Like I used to do, you know, similar. I've like stayed in hostels and backpacking type things, and it's like you kind of get spoiled a little bit doing this. And so,
yeah. And let's be clear for listeners, because I had a client of 6 months. You know, we're going through my service. He's racking up all these bonuses, and then 6 months later, he contacted me and he said, "I had no idea that you got a bed in business class." So because people are not searching business class and first class because they're so expensive, they don't really know what they are. So I'll just briefly explain. Business class, when you get to the airport, you have access to the business class lounge, which is great food. You might have, you know, a free massage. You might have some type of relaxation area, ready-made food that you can order, free drinks, champagne, everything. Then you get on the plane, and it's an actual bed. It's a lie flat bed with sheets. You know, often the flight attendant will tuck you in. They'll make the bed for you. And then it's 5-course meals. So they bring you a menu. You choose what you want as an appetizer, soup, main course, dessert, coffee, champagne, whiskey, unlimited drinks. And then let's say you have a one-stop layover. Then you get to go to the business class lounge again in a different airport. And then you get on a different flight, you get another bed. So this is what we're talking about. This is an experience when compared to economy, which is basically torture when you're crossing oceans. So this is the difference we're talking about.
Yeah, I remember I think the first business class flight I took we were going to Thailand, and we had to take a flight to Hong Kong, and we flew Cathay Pacific, which is a very, very nice business class.
It's a $8,000, $9,000 one way.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, just like the lounges, like it's unlimited food. You have everything. It's like you said. And then we got to Hong Kong, and the Cathay Pacific business class there was just, or the Cathay Pacific lounge there was just insane. I took a shower. It was like a beautiful spa in there, and they had like a whole noodle bar, and this is all free, you know. And it's amazing. It's like, I can't believe I was flying economy and sitting in the, you know, the airports and just suffering for all this time.
And the economy was more expensive.
And yes, and it's more expensive. So it is, I don't know. It's a crazy world.
Yeah.
So,
the thing is, people don't know what they don't know. So until you experience it, you don't really prioritize that. And then of course, as Americans, we can do it for free. So why not?
Yeah. And also, I mean, one other thing I want to bring up before we get to this question is not even just flights, but like hotels as well. So I have a couple Hilton cards. And so recently we had some nights that were going to expire. And so because we have these, it's American Express, Hilton Aspire, So you are automatically enrolled into the highest tier of like the Hilton Honors Program or whatever the hell it's called.
The diamond
And so
status.
diamond status. And so we had free nights that came with the, part of the sign up bonus. And so we had to use them. So we went to New York City just for, a couple days. And because we were diamond status, we booked the hotels for free, and then we got upgraded to, an even better room. We got upgraded to like a 1-bedroom suite. We had a view of Central Park. It's like $850 a night for these rooms, and it was $0. So
Yep.
and
And also,
little perks.
I made a note here. So that flight from Newark to the Maldives, we also figured out how to book the 5 free nights at an overwater bungalow. And the retail value of these 5 free nights on a private island overwater bungalow in the Maldives for Mike's upcoming honeymoon would have been $5,885. And we booked it for $0. So just the flights, the first 5 nights, and we're going to continue, booking more free hotel nights and then the return flights. But even just the first half of his trip, Mike's trip, is $40,000 worth of retail travel.
Yeah,
it's pretty incredible.
Like, you don't have to go across the world to go to like anywhere, super fancy. Like if you're in the US, you want to take even just like a local trip, go up to Maine or go down, I don't know, go to wherever you want, really. And with this, you get to, number one, you can fly there for free, even if it is economy, because, maybe it's a short flight or whatever. You could stay in a hotel and it's not going to cost you anything. So you can use these points in a more economical way and just have them stacked so you can basically travel for free indefinitely. Or, once in a while, you can just, ball out and spend a lot of points and take a nice flight. And
here's a good tip for the listeners now. Those lie flat business class luxury suites that we're talking about, they're great with some of the airline partners when flying overseas, crossing oceans, but business class within the US is pretty horrible. It's really bad. It's you don't get a bed on, you don't get these 5-course meals. You might get a warm sandwich and a couple inches more leg room. It's nothing special. So, but here's something to keep in mind so flying economy within the US is generally fine because the same business class on the same route would cost 3 times as many miles. So it might be better to save those miles for a more luxurious business class on an international trip and then just fly economy within the US. So that's something to think about for the listeners.
Yeah, I like the extra leg room. That's for sure. I flew to Florida in business class, and it's better than economy.
Do you remember how many miles? Or I'm sorry, you paid for it. But
no. My wife kind of handles that, so I don't really. I know, like, what kind of came from all these miles.
Yeah, I think it was through Ultimate Rewards. It was through the Chase points. So I'm not sure.
We have way more of these than we know what to do with between like the business cards and our personal cards. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of just like we just have it in the background. It's like, we don't travel that much, so whenever we do want to do something, it's like we're already kind of stacked. So I've got a question from David M here. Does this work in Canada if I apply for Canadian credit cards?
So I don't track too closely, what happens in Canada or the UK or Australia, which they do have some bonuses, but it's not nearly as lucrative as what we have in the United States. So in Canada, I am aware of some Air Canada cards. I even think the Bank of America Alaska Airlines card is available, but it's not as lucrative as it is in the US. So I'm afraid I can't really advise on that.
If you had a US LLC, so you have an EIN, are you able to apply for business cards as a foreign person?
It's called the ITIN number. I should look up what that means again. So again, it's not my specialty to work with foreigners getting US credit cards. From what I understand, it's somewhat of a long process because you need to apply for the ITIN number. You have to start building some credit history, and it is possible, but it's not going to be instant. It might be a couple-year process.
Okay. How do we get in touch with Trevor?
It's a very good question. Instagram.
Yeah. Oh. I have
My
your
web-
little name tag right here, milemethod.com.
Yep, my website. Instagram is really the only social media I'm active on. So I chat with a lot of people in the DMs. That's it. But if anyone's interested, set up a phone call on my website. We can talk in person.
Yeah, and we're not getting anything out of this, Joe and I, by having Trevor on. This is just, again, I think this is a very important aspect of what we do, and so I want our audience to learn about this. So, anyway, next question. Aren't you getting both at the same time, points and sign-up bonuses? How many times can you sign up for all these credit cards? I can only name like 10 credit cards at best.
There's a lot of credit cards. There's a lot of sign-up bonuses. I've been applying for 1 to 3 credit cards every 90 days since 2011. So that's 11 years of applying for credit cards. There's a lot of cards. And then as far as getting them over and over and over, that's what I meant by it's a big puzzle. So you have to know how to put together the puzzle pieces, because each card might have its own rules. So some cards you can reapply for only once every 24 to 48 months. Some cards you can only get once per lifetime, which actually only means every 8 years. Other cards, it depends on a lot of different factors. Are you earning points and sign-up bonuses at the same time? Yes. So the sign-up bonus you earn once you spend a certain amount on the credit card, depending on the terms and conditions of that card. But the actual spending on cards, you earn 1 to 3 points per dollar spent. So that's what I meant by that's just icing on the cake. Every time you use your credit card, you're earning a tiny amount of points. But really, the biggest bang for your buck is earning these bonuses and then doing it over and over and over.
Right. And I mean, if you're applying for credit cards every 90 days, like say, when you take on a client and you're trying to have them apply for like the maximum amount of credit cards, how much would you say they have to spend to hit all those sign-up bonuses within a given year?
So it's all customized based on each person's spending habits. So if someone tells me they spend $3,000 per month, I see that as you have $9,000 per 90 days to work with, because that person only naturally spends $3,000 per month. So I would customize the cards based on that person's spending habits. I don't want anyone to spend more than they normally would just to earn bonuses. We use what they would spend anyway, and then we just allocate it towards earning new bonuses. That's it.
Yeah. So I guess the point I was trying to get at was like, say you have a drop shipping store that does, $1 million a year in revenue, which is, not a whole lot. It's nothing to sneeze at, but like when you talk about earning points and bonuses, I would say to capture, a large amount of sign-up bonuses, that would probably take what, $100,000 at most, maybe less.
Well, I have clients who are spending $2,000 per month, and for someone who has a very low spending, like $2,000 per month, which is kind of the bare minimum, they're going to earn a million miles and points within 24 months. If you spend double that, or maybe 3,000 to 4,000 per month, I can get you to 1 million miles within 18 months, because you're able to apply for more credit cards based on your spending.
I'm just saying, so like, what do you think the upper range is for, like the highest sign-up bonuses and all that within a given year?
So right now, the maximum spend requirement on any given card currently is 15 to 20,000 within 3 months. So if you spend 15,000 within 3 months, that's the minimum spend requirement to earn its bonus. That's really the highest right now. So
exactly. And so like, if someone's doing $1 million a year in dropshipping revenue, that is 80,000 a month in revenue, or abouts.
Yeah.
So, think about that. $15,000 in 3 months to hit the bonus is only $5,000 a month.
Exactly.
And so that is minuscule in the grand scheme of a $1 million revenue a year dropshipping business. So yes, you can get all the sign up bonuses, and then you still have plenty of extra spend that you just put towards, your cash back card, or, your ultimate rewards card for the ad spend, the Chase Inc. And yeah, at the end of the day, you just have a lot of goodies.
I think what it comes down to is if you're at the point in your life where you're just getting into this stuff and you're pretty young and you want to travel a lot, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, you know, you could run a drop shipping store at a pretty low clip and easily maximize the bonuses, because it's not like, you know, it's not like your personal expenses, like you're getting paid first and then paying the supplier. So it's not like you have to go spend a ton of money. You know, you basically have the money pocketed because you've gotten paid from the customer, and, you know, there you have it.
Yeah, it would be unlimited free travel as a benefit, basically, on top of your drop shipping profit. That's what this would be.
Yeah.
Fact. So Matt says, my first and only credit card did have a really clutch bonus of $750, but I just took it as cash. I don't go anywhere. Well, you know, Matt's a young kid. He probably needed the $750. But yeah, I mean, it's probably not, obviously not the best value that you can get. I mean, I think the first credit card I got was it was the Chase Freedom card. I was using it for Kindle publishing, and it had like 18 months of no interest. So I basically just didn't pay it for like, you know, 18 months. And that was clutch for me. So Trevor Zhang, does each new LLC equal a new potential bonus, even if we have the card on an existing LLC?
Yes, but the same eligibility requirements still apply. So if you have multiple LLCs, you can get a dedicated business card per LLC. But most likely you'll have to do that with different banks, because each bank might have some type of restriction where you can only have so many cards or so many business cards. But yeah, in general, each LLC, you are eligible for a different business card and bonus. Yes.
Maybe that was my issue with Capital One, but I want to throw another question at you. I don't know. Sorry if you don't know this, but so when we go to Chase, which is our new bank now, I feel like we're kind of getting tight with the guy that works there. He's like a young kid, but they're always trying to sign us up to be like, what is it, like private clients or something? They basically want you to move all your assets over to them and whatever. Like, I guess the bankers there get a commission or something if you do that, and you get better service or whatever. But the point is, in your knowledge, does that help you in any way by having like private client relationships with certain banks, by like having, you know, a certain amount of money in with them or assets in with them?
Yes. So Chase in particular, by being, getting that upper tier status, not status, but having the private relationship, you might become eligible for, say, that Chase Inc. preferred business card, where you wouldn't have been otherwise, because they have certain ways in branch to kind of push the application through. So that could actually make the difference between being approved for that card or not. Another example that comes to mind is Bank of America. So if you have a brokerage account with Bank of America and you have over $250,000 balances in the brokerage or checking account, you're actually eligible for more credit card sign-up bonuses than someone who has less than $250 in balances. So that doesn't apply to everyone, obviously, but you could squeeze out, let's just say, 3 to 4 more sign-up bonuses if you had that type of cash balance. And again, each of these bonuses could be redeemed for a $8,000 one-way. So that is extra money.
Yeah, I just get that feeling, like, you know, over all these years dealing with a couple different banks, I just feel like, you know, having a relationship with someone at the branch makes everything a whole lot easier. You know, I don't know. It doesn't really apply to, I mean, it does apply a little to what we're talking about here, but yeah.
More and more, just in general, customer service in the US, not just with banks, airlines, and hotels. Actually, hotels are still pretty good, but airline customer service has gone downhill. It is very difficult to reach a human in almost all cases. So having that direct line, especially if you're a high net person doing well in business and you have some money you want to put somewhere, having a direct line to someone, it is a benefit now, because otherwise it's hard to reach humans.
Yeah. Shout out to Jay.
Chase. Well, also, before we move on from Trevor's question, were you agreeing with him saying basically if you got, say, a Chase Inc. card under one LLC, you got the sign up bonus, you could just get a new one under another LLC and get that sign up bonus again?
Yes, but there's other factors. For example, the Chase 524 rule, which if you've been approved for 5 or more cards within the personal cards within the past 2 years, even if you have multiple LLCs, you're not going to be eligible. So there's other factors to take into account.
Right. Okay. But so in general, the answer to his question is yes. But we're not necessarily doing this, what you're referring to, Trevor. It's not about just starting up a bunch of new LLCs and just taking advantage of the same sign-up bonus over and over. There's a lot of cards out there. There's a lot of sign-up bonuses. And so just with one LLC that gives you an EIN to get a business card, you can do fine.
Yes.
So, yeah. Abe said, a question for you guys. Have you tried running your dropshipping business from out of the U.S.?
Well, we have, but if you're not a U.S. citizen, it becomes, if you want to run a U.S. dropshipping business, then you need U.S. bank accounts and a U.S. debit card, or at least a debit card, credit card, some way to pay suppliers.
I'm not sure if he means from like running it from outside of the U.S. or...
Yeah, well, I just tried to cover both of those, so...
Okay. Well, all right. So, Matt says, when you guys say free, maybe I'm missing something, but these points and miles are worth something. Are these miles like giving you discounted flights compared to what they would normally cost? And then he said, if the flight is worth $11K and you use your points and you say it costed $90, are those miles worth $11K, or is it heavily discounted using points?
So this is where there's a lot of controversy. Because when I say that I booked an $11,000 business class one way, there's 2 ways to look at it. How much did you actually pay, which would be the taxes plus any annual fees that you paid for the bonus, or what was the retail value of that flight. So it's really, how do you want to look at it? So the retail value of that, London to Denver business class one way was $11,000. That's what, if you wanted to sit next to me on the plane, you would have had to pay. And then that was the retail cost. But of course, I paid $600 in taxes. So how do you want to look at it? It just depends. That's why I'm very careful to say almost free, not free, because when you redeem miles, there are taxes. So if you want to fly New York to LA one way, there's $5.60 in taxes. So I wouldn't want to say that's free, because you have to pay $6, but it's basically free. Mm-hmm. It depends how you want to look at it.
Well, he said this is making sense now. The value of miles is higher than points that you could redeem for cash in terms of flying. So you get multiple cards to get bonuses every 90 days and have cash back too. So yes, this is basically what we're saying. Like, you can get a sign-up bonus worth 100,000, miles or points, whatever. So let's say we'll go back to Chase, right? Because Chase Inc. has a very the Chase Ultimate Rewards, which is like the points you get when you get a sign-up bonus through Chase, is very diverse. So if you got 100,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points when you sign up for a card bonus, yes, if you tried to just redeem that for cash, that would, I don't know, how much would that be? $1,000?
1 cent per point, or 1.25 cents for flights. Depends how you redeem it, but 1 cent per point.
So it'd be $1,000. So yes. you could take out those 100,000 Chase Ultimate Rewards points, have $1,000, or based on like you could use the United Airlines reward program, and so Chase points, you can convert them into United Airline miles, and for 50,000 airline miles, you can take a flight that is worth $8,000. So instead of taking that $1,000 and having that, you can instead take a flight worth $8,000, or you could use the chase points for Hyatt, which is a hotel chain, and for 50,000 points, stay at a hotel that costs $1,000 a night.
Or two
so-
nights. You could have got 2 nights,
exactly.
$2,000 for that. So
Yeah.
all of this is where what I meant but earlier when I said having a little bit of knowledge in all of this helps you maximize your miles and points. So the same amount of miles and points, depending how you redeem them, could be worth 1,000, or they could be worth 20,000 if you really know what
Yes.
you're doing, and depending on the route, of course. So obviously you would want to choose the $20,000 value compared to 1,000. But like you guys who have so many different miles and points based on your drop shipping, earnings, there you can get to a point where you don't have to maximize every redemption because you have enough miles and points. You just want to save money regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good
Exactly.
position to be in.
Exactly. But it's like you said, it's about getting the points and then knowing how to maximize those points for the maximum, or just, a high value. It doesn't have to be the maximum, but yeah. David.
I want to. This question was making me laugh a little bit. Why should we hire your service over heading to Reddit/credit card churning? Well, I just want to say on this topic, I'm going to let Trevor answer it. But I feel like whenever you're heading over to Reddit for advice, you're kind of just getting bad advice. There's no other way to put it. And there's no more clear example of this than in like Reddit drop shipping or like Reddit any other business. And I think the reason for that is people who are spending time on Reddit, which is a big time commitment, I feel like they're not actively deep into doing what they're doing. So anyway, I'll let David answer that.
Or Trevor.
Trevor, sorry. I don't know why I said, I see David right on my screen.
Yeah, there's a few different ways to answer this question. So my number one response would be, are you averaging $16 per flight right now? If you're not, why not? Like if you know how to do all this, why haven't you done it? I mean, that's kind of the sarcastic response. So it's not my go-to. It's kind of with anything insider knowledge it takes time. You are an quote unquote expert in something, whether you're a plumber, a lawyer, a fighter pilot, because you put in the time. So if you've spent 10 years, like I have, learning about miles and points, you're not just going to jump in a forum and learn 10 years worth of experience in a couple hours. It's not going to happen. So you could become a lawyer or a doctor, but do you want to spend 15 years learning how to become a doctor, or do you want to hire somebody? It's the same principle with anything, really.
Yeah,
There's
I suppose
there's a deep lesson here with that question. Is that I feel like the more the more I learn, the more I'm inclined to hire experts in whatever I wanted, even if it's something that I am learning myself. Like, a year or two ago, we hired an SEO agency because I felt there was a gap in my knowledge for what to do for our dropshipping store. And we talk about this all the time, is hiring the experts, learning directly from them, and then applying that knowledge to your life. So the older I get, the more I want to consult with experts more and more. It just makes things so much more efficient.
Yeah, it accelerates everything. And not only that, there's people offering incredible services at reasonable prices. So again, do you want to spend 2 years trying to figure out how to book a $20 business class one way, or do you want to just get it done at a reasonable rate?
Yeah, I'm sure you can learn some things on Reddit and watching videos and self-educating, but again, is it worth your time to do that versus just working with an expert and getting all that knowledge kind of directly downloaded?
And I guess one more thought comes to mind with this question. So, and this happens all the time with potential clients, people who contact me. They may dabble a little bit with miles and points, and then they start, earning bonuses, and you can easily get approved for a few cards, but you don't know what you don't know. And what happens most of the time is that someone comes to me, they've applied for 5 or 6 cards, and then they're like, I don't know what to do now. And then I have to reply to them saying, well, unfortunately, you did it all wrong. And now you're ineligible for this card, this bonus, this bonus, this bonus. And again, each of those bonuses is potentially $5,000, $10,000. So by thinking they know what they're doing, they actually shot themselves in the foot, and they lost potentially $30,000, $40,000 worth of free travel. It happens all the time. So that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, and things are always changing too. You look at a Reddit thread from last year, it's maybe not relevant because Chase changed their rules, or especially nowadays, like there's all sorts of people change terms of service. Credit card companies are always moving dynamically. So yeah, it's good to work with people that are kind of on the cusp and do this literally for a living. And
this is like why you should hire a CPA.
Or this is why you should go to buildassetsonline.com/playbook, get our free course on how we build over $1 million in online assets from home. So anyway, no, we read that already. Abe said, I'm a citizen. I meant setting up a business here in the US and then travel in and out of the US and work on the business at the same time. Yeah, we do that. You travel wherever you want. You just have a computer and take it easy. So
yeah, we talk about this quite often, but some of our best breakthroughs have come through while doing this.
Yes.
Which
anyway, that said, I see this is extremely helpful. I appreciate the clarification. I get how that could be a service that you do now, Trevor. Very unique. Thank you again. I'm about to try and get my second credit card for my second business. Should I apply for the same card I already have or a different one? Credit is not high. I'd say medium maybe because I've only got one card.
Matt, you should schedule a free phone call. There's just a lot of factors involved. I need to know more about your unique profile to answer that.
Yeah.
So
I would just do it, Matt. I mean, you joined our course last time you were on I told you to just do it on the stream. And so I feel like you should just do this too. I don't think we get anything from promoting it.
I don't think so either. But Trevor, on that note of, why would we work with you when, we could just churn credit cards? Didn't you say you had some new thing that was like not working directly with you, but just like you show them how to do things?
So this is a new benefit. I'm actually in the process of, so this is interesting, I think, for your listeners, just from a business standpoint. So I've been doing this since 2014. I'm a one-man business, and I've relied exclusively on word of mouth. So I don't think that's normal at all in the internet business world. It's worked just because the product speaks for itself. So I've never done paid ads. I've never really actively promoted my services. A client does well, they tell their friends and family, and it all just snowballed. So right now I'm in the process of actually learning some marketing fundamentals and actively promoting my business. So I'm doing some improvements. And one thing that's a major benefit for clients is I'm starting to do weekly Zoom calls. That is included in the package if you do my one-on-one service. And during these Zoom calls, you can get on and just say, hey, I have this trip coming up. How do I book it? And then I will work with you with a screen share with your miles and points and show you exactly how to book the flights and the hotel step by step. And then you'll also get a recording of that session. So this is good because I can show you exactly how to book, but then you'll learn as we're going through the process, because you can go back and watch the recording, and that's pretty huge because the idea is once you have all these miles and points, you should be able to know how to use them. And this is one step towards actually learning that.
Yeah, I mean, even after working with you for 2 years, I'm still learning things to this day. I mean, we were just doing something with Amex, with Aeroplan, Air Canada, whatever. Like, I didn't realize Air Canada had all these redemptions and worked with all these different partners. And so there's so many, it's like you said, it's a puzzle. There's so many ways you can do particular things to get to your goal of, if you want to travel to this place business class, or you want to just, get the cheapest flight possible to somewhere domestically. So yeah, it is
Yeah,
It's fun learning all these new
there's
things.
a lot of moving pieces, and you just have to study it and know it, and kind of play with the different programs and redemption options. So, having someone go through a Zoom call with you, using your miles and points to book your exact trip, no one else is doing that. So I see that as a huge benefit for my clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Joe, do you have any anything else you want to talk about? We're getting over the hour mark at this point.
No, I feel like I got to work with Trevor next time we travel. I don't know when it's gonna be, but
I'm super curious to know your mile and point balances, because you should not be flying economy ever, I don't think.
oh no, we stopped doing that. But yeah, probably don't do it the most efficient way. My wife handled it, so we'll have to figure something out. We haven't gone on like a international trip in a while, but maybe soon.
If only there was a guy who could help you with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Trevor. I hope people that listen to this, see the value in this. Like I said, Joe and I aren't getting anything out of this. We just wanted to, again, talk with you because the world is different now. You don't want to pay $1,000 to fly, somewhere and sit in the back of a plane, especially if you're doing online business. You have the innate ability to take advantage of this. And so, people want to contact you, Trevor, find you on Instagram. Your website is right here, milemethod.com. And so, any last words for the people?
No, that's it. You can schedule a free phone call. That's, I think, the easiest way for me to get all your details and see if this is a good fit for you. You can just chat on the phone, figure it out. I have tons of testimonials on my Instagram. Like, some of them are ridiculous. So look at if you're still on the fence about any of this, go to my Instagram and look at the testimonials. It'll blow your mind, truly. And if you're not taking advantage of this as an American, why not?
What are you doing?
It's right there. Just grab the bonuses. It's not even that hard.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have an online business and you want to get started, or you have one and you need to improve it, go to buildassetsonline.com/playbook. Get our free course. See how we build over $1 million in online assets. So thank you so much for coming on, Trevor. Thank you guys for asking questions and watching. And so, as always, take it easy.
All right. Take care. See ya.